season is here.
That means you'll likely be on the giving or receiving end of a poinsettia, a Christmas cactus, an amaryllis, or other holiday plants. They all have special legends, and Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is here to tell us more and to give us some tips for keeping our holiday plants looking their best, right?
Absolutely.
So let's start with the poinsettia.
Let's start with the poinsettia because everybody thinks that that is the quintessential holiday plant.
Yeah.
It's native to Mexico, used by the Aztecs for dye and for medicinal purposes. It was brought to the United States by our first ambassador to Mexico. His name was Joel Poinsett, so that's why it was named after him.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Are poinsettias high maintenance?
They can be a little tricky. They like a really warm spot.
Okay.
And a lot of light. And so if you have it by a window in the wintertime when there's really high light, chances are it's going to be drafty there. So you got to find that balance. They're a euphorbia, so they're not a cactus, but they like drier soils. So you want to make sure that you let it dry out thoroughly between waterings and then water it really well.
Okay. And what did you bring in front of the poinsettia?
This is ivy, and ivy, you know, you've heard the song The Holly and the Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Ivy is sort of an evergreen plant. A lot of our legends about plants come from Western Europe, the British Isles, that sort of Celtic kind of regions. And so this was a plant that was evergreen, and so it sort of meant fidelity and, you know, the outside, it's bringing the green in when the weather was cold and dreary, like it is here today.
Right.
And what's the next one over there, the red smaller flower?
This is a cyclamen, and I couldn't find any legends about cyclamen, but they're my favorite. And they're really good for those brighter, cooler spots. So this is great for a sunny window where it's maybe a little cool. And our cyclamen come from a grower in Deerfield, Wisconsin, so they're locally grown, which is kind of fun.
Very nice.
That red one is beautiful for the holidays.
They come in a lot of like whites and pinks and reds, and even a kind of magenta purple color that's really lovely.
Nice.
And I love the leaves.
Yeah.
You know, they're sort of variegated and striped and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect for Christmas. Now, what's this pretty white one?
Now, this is a hellebore, and it's a garden plant in our area. It's called Christmas rose or Lenten rose here, but when I was in Europe last week, these were blooming all over Germany, outside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they usually bloom around Christmas time, which is why it's become a Christmas plant. And they've been heavily hybridized, and you find really beautiful ones for the garden in the spring at the garden center.
And
so
how do you take care of them?
You want to keep this alive until you can put it outside, because it would be happier outside. So it's going to want a cool spot, let it dry between waterings, and kind of morning light location. It doesn't like a full sun spot.
Okay.
So maybe an eastern window.
Now, you've got the rosemary here. We can definitely smell that.
You can smell the rosemary.
Oh, I wish you could smell this at home. It's
great.
so fragrant.
And rosemary is a Mediterranean plant. It's difficult to take care of inside because there's a fine balance between too wet and too dry. But rosemary was a plant that they used, you know, to strew on the floors in the wintertime for the scent. It's a plant of remembrance and friendship.
Oh,
and so they would use it to sort of scent the air. I imagine like those medieval castles could get pretty dank.
And you can use it in the kitchen at the end of the season.
Yes,
right?
you can.
How about this spruce tree? Now you got a little, what is this? What is this?
This is a
particular
Dwarfell Brutus spruce. And I just wanted to talk about Christmas trees a little bit. It was a German custom that came to the United States in the 1850s. When Queen Victoria married Prince Albert, he was sort of homesick at Christmas time, and so she brought a Christmas tree into the palace and decorated it with little gifts. And that was when we really started decorating Christmas trees. So that tradition came to us from the English. But
spruce, fir, pine, they're all acceptable, right?
Yes, I think that like Fraser and balsam firs are the most popular Christmas trees in Wisconsin. In other areas, it's spruce. Spruces are hard to keep inside. They do not like, especially the cut ones.
You end up with the needles.
They drop their needles really fast. So for Christmas trees, firs have the longest needle retention.
Oh, that's good.
Just keep them well watered. Don't let that edge go. Don't let the water level go below the cut, and you should be good.
But I love the special stories about the legends because that makes a gift of a plant like this even more meaningful.
I think so too. And you know, and a lot of them have been adopted and then adapted over time. The poinsettia the legend is that a child wanted to give the baby Jesus a present, so she got some weeds, and when she set them by the manger, they burst into flower, which is charming, but they're not native to the Middle East.
Right.
Some of these you can hang on to, like if you were gifted a spruce, hold on to it until the
Put it
spring
outside,
and plant it.
absolutely. And rosemary, if you can get it through the winter time, that's a great plant to put on your patio or in a herb garden and then bring it in. Cyclamen will last a really long time. Ivy do. Poinsettias, you know, it's sort of tricky because to get them to reflower it's a day length issue, which is really hard for us to do indoors because we have our lights on all the time.
Right.
So I say enjoy them and then next year get a new one.
Just savor them now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
them now,
that's good
yes.
advice. All right, thanks, Lise.
You're
Great
welcome.
tips.
Happy holidays.
You too.